All right. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Joy. I'm back again with another video. I hope that you guys are doing well and staying safe. And it is a Sunday, sunny yay. I hope that you guys are enjoying your Sunday and maybe eating something really good or just chilling out, hanging out with the family and the friends. I'm just gonna post that I'm live, but yeah, whoever comes in the room, welcome. Make sure that you guys do give this video a like, share it, subscribe. Let me just put, hey guys, I'm live. Be sure to tune in. All right, so yeah, I'm live. And so yeah, I'm just gonna get right into the topic. So I did get some questions. And you guys, please continue to keep leaving comments on the videos, any feedback, any suggestions, and any questions. And hey, Gary, shout out to Gary. He always asks me questions. So yeah, we're here, but let's go ahead and get right into the first question. And by the way, I will be using a online document to answer one of the questions. One is about the players, because I'm not a player myself, but just for those that want information on that, if you feel like you could be dealing with a player. But anyway, so the first question is, do people know early on if we will take them serious? And could that be why they reject and discard us? I feel like people potentially could know if they would take us serious. And I think that, it says a lot about that individual person, if that makes sense. I feel like, in the beginning stage of that relationship, a person can test you or they can get to know you and see your personality, your character, and they can determine maybe if it's, what they want, or it may not be a good fit for them, or, if it's something that they're not really interested in. So that can be kind of tricky, but I can say it's a hit or miss, and I could also say that it depends on that individual person that you're dealing with, and because let's say, like, if you are dating somebody or if you're in a relationship with someone that could be wounded or they could be hurt and they may not be open for anything serious. Maybe they just are still healing from a past relationship, or they just are just looking for a good time, just looking for fun, and they don't want to be tied down to anyone. The unfortunate part is that they may end up rejecting you and they may end up discarding you because they really didn't say like what their intentions was. Maybe they was just trying to see if you was going to be a certain way, and maybe they find out that you're not that way. And the unfortunate part is that you may end up getting rejected or discarded. Now, when it comes to a narcissist, that can be the case where, they will love bomb you, they will groom you, and you may end up being a transitional supply, which is what I was. And so essentially, I ended up rejecting the narcissist, but he wanted to get his payback, so he future faked me. But, he ended up discarding me in the long end. But anyways, but yeah, I can say people can know early on if they will take you serious or if you will take them serious. I can definitely say that people do know that. So I hope that is helpful. And then people can change too. That's the thing. Like, people can change their mind. They can decide, like, I want to be with this person, I want to be serious with them. And then they could say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be serious with them. You know what I mean? So it really can depend. But I think to avoid all that, the whole point is to ask questions and to verify, look at a person's actions instead of what they're telling you, if that makes sense. So I hope that is helpful. So the next one, you guys, this is a pretty interesting one because there are a lot of players out there, and it's not just the men, because you have the female players too. I'm just saying. So I'm going to be using this one article, you guys, to help us along here. So if you guys are interested, definitely check out, it looks like it's Zuski.com. So it talks about how to spot a player online and offline. So one of the things that you want to be careful of, and let me know, you guys, have any of you guys ever been with a player? Let me know, what was that like, or were you guys the player? But so yeah, let me go. Where did it go? Okay. So yeah, so the first one is he or she comes on strong, which is common for a lot of players to do this, whether it's a man or a woman. He or she says they're in an open relationship. The next one is he or she makes sex jokes early. The next one is he or she only texts you late at night. He or she doesn't ask personal questions. He or she gives over the top compliments. He or she won't introduce you to their friends or their family. And he or she openly mentions other women or men. So if you are dealing with someone and they do any of those things that I just mentioned, you might be dealing with a player, whether it's a man or a woman, and you might not want to get too involved because you might end up getting hurt. So, and you said, Gary, don't even get me started on this. Don't get you started on this topic. Gary, do you feel like you've dealt with many players, female players in your life? What do you think on that? Now, I have to be honest with you guys. I do feel like the narcissist that I dealt with, I want to say that he was a player. I have to be completely honest because he definitely let me know that he was in an open relationship. You know, he would make compliments about women all the time, and he'd be telling me, like, you know, the sex life that he would have with these women. And I know this is kind of funny and random, but you guys, the narcissist actually was like, oh, you know, it's kind of funny but weird at the same time. He was saying like, oh yeah, like a lot of women need me. I have a service to offer, and yeah, like I'm always here for them. And I'm just like, huh? It was the weirdest thing, but he's basically talking about sex and basically saying like they need him for the sex. That's what he's saying. And I'm just like, you were just really cocky and arrogant, like, you know? But Gary, you said it's the trend now, it seems, for both genders. Yeah, I could say that. And I mean, some people like that type of lifestyle, so I'm not here to judge it. I mean, me personally, it doesn't work for me. Some people, it does work for them, but I'm just not one of those type of people. But hey, to each his own. You know, if that lifestyle makes you happy, hey, more power to you. But it doesn't work over here. So but no, I do feel like, you know, that type of lifestyle is promoted. I do feel like it is advertised. And I guess maybe it looks cool to certain people. They're like, oh, yeah, like I got all these girls or I got all these guys. And some of the women may be like, oh, I'm acting like a guy at this point. I'm not catching feelings. I'm doing what a guy does. And it's just like sometimes we're not really meant for that, you know. But hey, if it works for some, hey, it is what it is, you know. But yeah, those are some ways that you can spot a player. And the other question was someone who could be serious about wanting a long-term relationship. And I would just say it would probably be the opposite of those things that I just mentioned. It's basically somebody that that opens up, that expresses themselves. They'll tell you they're looking for a serious relationship. You know, they want to get to know you. They're going to ask you questions. They're not going to have anything to hide. You know, they're going to be emotionally available. You know, they're going to introduce you to their family and friends. They're going to show you and make you feel secure, make you feel comfortable. And you're going to, in a sense, you're going to become a part of their life, you know. And I know sometimes we're not used to that. And not saying that we do it on purpose, but not all cases. But I'm only saying this because I've actually experienced this myself, is when you actually do meet someone that's good, we subconsciously we might end up pushing them away because we're not used to that. So that's something that we all just want to make sure that we don't do. So when we do meet the right person, we're ready and available for them, for that long-term relationship that we all want. You know what I mean? So yeah, you do just want to be mindful of that. But yeah, hopefully that does answer that question. And the other one was, are some people, do they know basically like what they have in front of them? So do they recognize like your goodness, or do they recognize that you're a good person, or that, you mean well to them. I feel like people do. They know like what they have in front of them. It's not like a secret or they're stupid or whatever. I think like some people just may take you for granted, especially if, you are a good person, you're genuine, you're courteous, you're respectful, you're open. And some people could see that maybe they may be like, oh, she's weak or he's weak, but it's not that that's the case. It's just these individuals are just not used to that type of treatment and behavior. And that's very, very unfortunate because it should be a normal thing. But in our crazy, weird society, it's not. And I think I said this in one of the videos where it's good is looked as bad and bad is looked as good. So it's kind of twisted. So I hope that they can eventually, the society can change one of these days, but it looks like it's a long ways, but it is what it is. But yes, people, they know what they have in front of them. They're not stupid. And if you're dealing with a toxic person, if you're dealing with a narcissist, they know that you are genuine and they know that you care about them and you love them. They know that they don't care. That's the whole point, or even a toxic person, they don't care either, so you just have to keep that in mind when you're dealing with these type of individuals. Right. So the next one is, what is the proper way to reconcile with someone if we were the ones who caused the problem of sort? That's a really good question because sometimes, you're in a relationship or you're dating somebody and you could feel like, man, I really want them back. I miss them so much. I love them. And I was the one that messed up, And I think like the proper way is just to be open and honest and tell them like what you did that was wrong and, try to make amends and try to make it right. And you have to promise that you're never going to do that again. And you can't just say it, but your actions have to match what you say. You know what I mean? And you have to do that for a long period of time. It can't just be like, oh, I do it for one day or two or one week and then I'm back to my regular self. Like, no, you actually have to, it has to be a character change, a behavior change. You have to change like completely. Like you cannot make that same mistake again, right? Because if you make that same mistake, then that basically says like you're not really sorry and you don't feel bad for what happened. Like you really have to be sincere with this. Like if you're apologizing or you're asking for forgiveness or anything like that, you have to really mean it. And then that person has to feel it, because like sometimes, and I had this story like with my aunt. I told her like what she said, how it made me feel. This was the last time I saw my aunt. This was like back in 2014. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I'm just like, okay, that didn't really feel like she was sorry. It just was almost kind of like, oh, just a phrase like, oh, okay, be quiet. Like it happened, take it, that type of thing. It wasn't like, oh, I'm really, really sorry that I made you feel that way. I really, truly apologize. And I want to make it right. What is something that I could do to make it better? How can we fix this? How can our relationship go forward from here? That's a sincere apology, not like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Oh, I'm sorry you think that way. Or, oh, like, it's just like, really, you said, Gary, for narcissists, it's only a temporary change. Exactly. And then they just go back to their regular behavior. It's just really what happens is like, if the narcissist is seeing like, okay, you're getting your strength, you don't really want to be with them like that. You're starting to understand your worth. You're seeing through the mask. The narcissist is going to do and say anything to get you back, whether that's crying or apologizing, begging you. They may threaten to kill themselves, or they may threaten suicide, or they could try to fight you or scream and yell at you. And they may threaten you, physically to harm you, or they may try to harm the kids, or they may say that they're going to. And that could really scare you. And you're like, okay, like, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to stay because I don't want nobody to get hurt. I just want to make peace. So I'm just going to, be right here. So, yeah. And then the other part is the narcissist will, change for just a bit. They may start to treat you right. They may start to appreciate you and maybe quote unquote open up, or, just behave in a way like, where you may start to trust them again, or you'd be like, okay, I see that they're doing better. I can let my guard down. It's going to be all right. But then the mask comes down, and it's even worse than before, and you start to get abused and mistreated all over again, and it doesn't get better. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And so you just want to make sure that you understand that narcissists don't change at all. And if, as I said, if they only change, it's because they want something from you, which is supply, or they just want to control you, or they just want power over you, and that type of thing. And Gary, you said, or they'll tell us just to get over what's bothering us, personal experience. Yeah, absolutely. Some of them will say, oh, why are you being so sensitive? Or you need to have tough skin, or, it's not that big of a deal. And, that type of thing. Or, just get over it. It's, any of those type of things, in a sense where they kind of dismiss you, or they don't validate your experience, or they make it seem like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like you can move on from that, and what's kind of different, like, I don't think I've ever shared this with you guys. So like, I remember when I was dealing with the narcissist, it was mainly the borderline that I heard this a lot. I didn't really hear this with the narcissist, but when I had told like the people that I was around, not my genuine friends, but like people that I had met during the time period when I was in California, and I had told them the experience about me dealing with the borderline. And I was like, yeah, like he's with this girl now. And I had told them that he like started posting pictures of this girl like on my birthday and stuff like that. And this one girl, she was like, Joy, like you need to get over that. Like, can't you just see, like, move on? Like, and she was like, he's moved on with his life. You need to move on with your life. And another girl was like, oh my God, like he did that to you on your birthday. Like, girl, you need to move on. Like, so, I mean, I get like in a sense what they're saying. Yeah, I did need to move on, which I wasn't like calling him and texting him, but it was like, there was really no compassion, and they was kind of like judging me and making it seem like I was the one that was at fault, and like, I need to, move on so quick. And it literally, you guys, this was like, I think it was like days, maybe like a week or two after it all happened. And, like a situation like that is like really fresh, so it's like, you cannot just move on like that, especially like if you was involved with them sexually, they was living with you. It's just not so easy, So obviously those two people are not in my life anymore, and that's for a particular reason. But, and I even remember like one of the girls, I basically ended up saying that I didn't think that she was a friend. And she was like, oh, okay, something like that. And I just told her like, oh, like, we don't need to be friends. And she's like, okay. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, so it was nothing for me. But, I guess I say all that to say it's really important that the people that you have around you are really supporting you, and they really do care about you, because that can kind of hinder or help during your recovery and your healing process. Because in a sense, you can start to blame yourself. You can start to feel bad and be like, oh, well, I deserve that because, these other people are talking to me in a meaningful and harmful way. Then, so you may start to blame yourself, and, that's just more stress and more depression and anxiety you start to feel. And it doesn't lead to anything good. So you just want to make sure that you have good people, genuine people that really do care about you around you. Right. So, yeah. So I hope that was helpful in regards to the reconciliation. And then the last one, I kind of did touch on it right now. So why narcs or toxic people refuse to ever apologize sincerely at all. And this is because the narcissist is very entitled. They don't think that they ever have done anything wrong. Or if anything does go wrong, they feel like it's all your fault. You're to blame. You're the reason for it happening. And they don't like to take accountability for their actions. They don't like to take responsibility for the wrongs that they have done, or they have been they're the reason for the relationship, not working out or ending. Not saying that we don't take accountability either. Like, yeah, like we have a part to play in a relationship also, but at the same time, the narcissist does not take responsibility for their part in a relationship, right? And so, for them to apologize, they're like, why am I going to apologize? I didn't do anything wrong. It was obviously it's on your end. And then they could also say, well, I'm in a relationship, you're not, so obviously you're the problem. You know what I mean? Which is not true. It's just the narcissist cannot be alone. Narcissistic people can't do self-reflection, and they can't look at themselves and see like, oh yeah, like all my past history, my past relationship, I'm the reason. I have a part to play. It wasn't just that other person. It was me too. Like, I have some things inside of me I haven't healed, I haven't reconciled and worked through. You know what I mean? So the narcissist, excuse me, sorry about that. The narcissist never does that type of introspection on themselves. So they're like, oh, I don't need to apologize for them for what? Like, so it's crazy. And Gary, you said, I think too that a lot of people are just used to bouncing from person without attaching emotionally. That could be why they showed no empathy towards you. Yeah, and it was just so crazy because I'm sitting here like, I mean, if they would ever call me about anything, I would be like, listening to them and, like supporting them and understanding like their perspective. But yeah, there was no empathy towards me at all. They were like, oh, you need to just go ahead and move on. Like, you see, he's moved on with another person. Like, why are you still stuck on him? And, it was just very like hostile. And yeah, but obviously, like I said, those two people are no longer in my life because my real friends, when I told them what happened, they was like more understanding. They was like, oh, we totally get it. I mean, they was telling me, yeah, to move on, which I was in the process of moving on, but it was like the way that the other people, they handled it. I'm just like, whoa, like that's not cool at all to me. Cause some people may be like, oh, well, that's motivation. But for me, I'm a little different. So I needed to be supported in a different type of way, So it was, just a different experience. But yeah, but no, I agree though, Gary. I feel like some people they have that quote or that saying, which I've said this many times, where people are like, oh, in order to get over someone, you have to get underneath someone. And I do not agree with that. I know that a lot of people probably do that because they feel like, oh, it's going to take the pain away. It's going to help them forget about that person. It's going to help them forget about the situation. But yeah, for me, it doesn't work that way because I'm like, I need to look at what happened and I need to work on myself because I'm not perfect, not at all, So yeah. So yeah, I would just say you got to have people that can like help validate your situation. It could be sympathetic and empathetic towards you. You're going to need that, especially if you dealt with a narcissist or if you dealt with a borderline. You don't have to be so hard on yourself because they was just like, oh yeah, like, all right, go ahead, move on to another person, or get over them quickly. And I'm like, whoa, like this literally just happened. Like, what are you talking about? So. But yeah, no, narcissists, they don't apologize. They don't give you any closure. They don't feel bad for what they've done. If they had the opportunity, you guys, these narcissists, they will do exactly what they've done to you before. They will do it over and over and over again. Because in a narcissist's mind, the longer you stay, the more you allow them to abuse you and mistreat you. They feel like you actually deserve it. Can you guys believe that? They actually think that we deserve to be treated in that way that they treat us. Yeah, it's crazy. They think that way. And yeah, and they don't want to see you happy. They don't want to see you move on. And that's the whole other thing too, is with the narcissist. The other reason why they don't apologize is because they don't want you to have peace of mind, right? Because in a normal relationship, even if the person does something or whatever, they come back and apologize. They could be normal. You guys make amends, you reconcile, but you just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to let bygones be bygones. You guys are still cool. But with a narcissist, there is nothing. It's just complete silence. It's ghost, silent treatment, stonewall. So in a sense, that door is always open. You know what I mean? And it's like the narcissist uses that against you because they know your mind, you're going to be ruminating over this person, over the narcissist. You're going to be missing them. You're going to be in your mind, you're going to be going crazy thinking like, okay, I need to do something, I need to fix this, I need to reach out, I need to apologize, I need to cover for the narcissist. And so that's another reason why they do that, is to keep that door open, for them to come back so they can start the cycle of abuse again. So what we have to do as victims and survivors, when we don't get that apology, when we don't get that closure, we have to give that to ourselves. And that is a hurtful thing, because dealing with narcissistic abuse is not easy, and it's not anything that should be taken lightly. It is a very serious abuse, and it can really have long-term effects and damages on an individual person. So this is something that should not be taken like, oh, I can just go under the next person. Like, that's not going to work, because if you were to do that, you would just be bringing back karma to yourself, and you're going to be hurting that other person that you just went underneath, which I don't know who came up with that quote, but I don't like that quote at all. I'm like, I don't know why. It's crazy. And Gary, you said that intimacy will later cause them depression in their life if they're doing that quickly. Yeah, absolutely. And I know myself, I definitely dealt with a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. And, I had CPTSD, and still working through the CPTSD at this point. A lot of us victims and survivors, we do struggle with that. And it's not an easy thing, you guys. And I can be honest and tell you guys, like, I don't know if it's the CPTSD, but like if I hear like a loud noise at times, or if something just like comes out of the blue, like I will literally jump, you guys. I don't know if that's just like a reflex or just if it's the CPTSD. But yeah, I literally like would jump. Like, it's weird. So yeah. But some people have mentioned like, it's a struggle for them to go out in public, to be around a lot of people. Some people feel more comfortable by themselves, and they feel more safer that way. I know I was in isolation for a while myself after dealing with narcissistic abuse. It's tough. It is. I could be honest. And the right group SEL, hi, how you doing? Welcome. Give this video a like, you guys. But I hope that this was helpful and that I answer all the questions. And shout out to Gary. Like I said, he always asks me questions. So shout out to him. And shout out to you too, the right group, for being in the room. And for anybody watching this, shout out to you as well. But I just wanted to share 2 other stories, you guys, that I experienced with my aunt. So this is like so random, but I just wanted to just show you how narcissists are so devious and just so, in a sense, and I hate to say it like this, but they're kind of rotten to a certain degree. And she came off so strong, like meaning the love bombing. And so anyway, I had 2 situations. It was, so basically, when I had first moved to California, my aunt was taking care of me in a sense. And, I was young. I was 17. I was a teenager. But anyway, so I started to get my hair done. Sometimes I would go to the hairdresser, or my aunt told me about this like hair braider one time. And she was supposedly like a really good hair braider, whatever. And I really didn't say anything about it. Like, yeah, I did want to get my hair done, but I didn't really have a particular way that I wanted it like that. But my aunt was the one that told me about this hair braid. And she was like, oh, like you should get your hair done or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm just assuming because she was the one that brought it up. I'm like, oh, she's obviously going to pay for it, right? Because again, I was young at the time. I wasn't working. I'm like, literally, I was still in high school, And so I was under the impression that she was going to pay for it. And I think it was like 200 something or whatever. I think I was getting like individuals. So anyway, the lady does my hair because my aunt takes me to get my hair done, and she drops me off, and my aunt pays for it. And so I'm thinking like everything's cool because I'm like, yeah, like she was the one that mentioned it. you know, she was the one that told me about it. So obviously, yeah, she's going to pay for it. And I noticed that like I had gotten it done again, but I'll never forget this comment. She was like, oh, is your dad going to like help pay for this or whatever like that? And I'm like, thinking like, what do you mean? Like, you were the one that brought it up. Like, why would he pay for it? Which, by the way, you guys, I did reach out to my dad and he did like help with that at the time. But I don't know if she was doing that to like make me feel like less than, I guess, or just like, I don't know what that was all about, but it was just weird. She was like, oh, is your dad gonna like pay for this? It's like, well, am I living with my dad? I'm living with you, right? So I don't know. That was just kind of weird. And then the other situation was, so I was working at JCPenney's. This was like, what year was this? I think it was like 2010 or 2011. So this was another situation, you guys, where I was getting my hair done. And so I forgot how it came about because the girl, she was working at JCPenney's. She had done my hair previously before at JCPenney's. They have like a hair salon there. And for some strange reason, I guess like the girl wasn't working there anymore. And I still wanted to get my hair done. And so I figured that it was cool because my aunt prior had known about me getting my hair done at JCPenney's. And I had told her about the girl that had did my hair. And so everything was cool. That's what I'm thinking, right? And so one time I was getting my hair done, but it was weird because the girl, she had to come to my house or my aunt's house. And I don't know what was going on or what my aunt was thinking. So my aunt, she walks in and I'm like, oh, hey. And she didn't really say anything to the girl that was doing my hair. And I thought, okay, that's weird. So anyway, you guys, and I don't know what y'all can tell me what y'all think. My aunt actually tells me in the middle of me getting my hair done, she's like, oh, well, you guys have to go on the front porch to do my hair. And I'm thinking like, like, why? And she's like, you guys just got to go out on the front porch. And I'm like, okay. And even the girl that was doing my hair, she was like, that's weird. Like, why would she say you have to go on the front porch? I'm like, I don't know. And even so the girl, she finishes my hair. We're literally outside, you guys. For some reason, my aunt, she didn't like that the girl was in the house. And I'm like, other people have come in the house before. Like, it wasn't a big issue. And so, yeah, it was just the strangest thing that she didn't like the hairdresser being in the house. And after we finished, and she was just like, yeah, she wasn't expecting it. And mind you, she had just gotten off of work. And as you guys know, I've told you before, like, she didn't like her job and she was really miserable. So I don't know if it's like the whole misery loves company type of thing. And so, yeah, that was just another story. It's just like, I don't know. Again, she's just trying to like assert her power, trying to make it seem like, oh, you know, I didn't deserve that, like, to look good or whatever. I don't know what it was, but it was just really weird. And there had been other people that have come to the house and it wasn't an issue for them to be in the house. And it's just like all of a sudden when I wanted to get my hair done, it was like, oh no, you guys got to sit out on the front porch. Like, why? Nobody is in the house. It's just me and the hairdresser. So, but Gary, you said it's crazy how fast they'll tell the new supply that they love them also. Right. And you said my ex narc has told 2 guys since me that, wow, like how can you love 2 people that fast? Love bombing at its finest. Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Narcissists, they will say and do anything to get what they want. And then when they feel like they got what they want or they can no longer get it from you anymore, they're going to move on to the next person like you never existed. And that's a very, very hurtful experience. And it's devastating. It's disappointing. And it's hard for us to recover from that. It is, because we're not used to that at all, you know? And you guys, please feel free to chime in. If you guys have any questions you want to ask me or anything that I mentioned, let me know, you guys. Chime in. But yeah, the love bombing can get a lot of us, because I do understand, and this is not all the time, but because of the way some of us we grew, we're not used to that type of attention. We're not used to that type of affection. And when we get showered with that, in a abundant way, in a fast way, it takes us off guard, and it just, we like it. We want more of it, and we're just like, no, don't stop being this way. Like, keep giving me love, keep giving me attention, keep showing me appreciation, keep accepting me, keep validating me, right? And the narcissist can smell, or they can know, like, if you have not gotten that in your family. For one, they can ask you, and two, they could just tell, like, because again, the narcissists are people watchers. So they watch people, and they also watch a lot of romantic movies, so they can figure out how to behave and act in situations and dating people, right? Because a lot of narcissists don't have personalities. They have to, again, the whole false self, they have to put on that mask. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a lot of acting going on. It's kind of scary. It really is pretty scary if you really think about it. Because in a sense, for me, I was thinking like, man, like I was really in love with a lie. Like, you know what I mean? And I was just, it was crushing, like super crushing, It's just like, really? And Gary, you said, if you have had time, could you touch on a possible lost love? Do they return, or is it chapter closed? Yeah, that's a good one. A lost love. I feel like it really depends on the individual person. Could they return? It's possible if they still have contact with you, if they still have your number, if they may find you on social media or something. It's possible that they could return. Absolutely. But if that person is not like social media savvy, and maybe they just kind of lost touch with technology or whatever, or maybe they've moved on with their own life or whatever, then it's like, yeah, you never know. But yeah. But that you do have people that come back. Even the narcissists come back. So people, they will come back. Maybe they're just like, oh, like, let's just be friends, or, oh, let's just be cool, like on social media, that type of thing. So it's definitely possible. Absolutely. But yeah, just like going back to my aunt though, like, yeah, and then, oh, okay, so like, did I tell you guys about the time where, and this was when I was young, you guys, so I was like 19 at the time. And this is why I say, especially like for the narc parents, they don't like it if you gain new relationships, because the narcissistic parent wants the all the control, all the attention on them, right? And they also, and there's nothing really wrong with doing this, but well, they want their adult children to take care of them forever. They don't want their adult children to move on and be happy and have their own lives. That's not right. But yeah, like if you want to take care of your parent as they get older, you're like, yeah, do that accordingly. But of course, have your boundaries. But with my aunt, like especially like when I started to date and stuff, as I told you guys before, she raged at me when I started dating the narcissist, because and that's what I said, I didn't know he was a narc. But when she was like, oh yeah, write down his name, write down his number on a piece of paper, and I'm gonna call him. And she had did that because I was like actually going out, at night, which, yeah, that's what you do when you date, right? But she didn't like that. She wanted me to be in the house all the time and not have a life. And did I tell you guys also to the time where I was like going out and hanging out with my friends, not even with the narcissist, but she would be like, oh, you're young. Like, you don't need to go to parties. Like, you can do that like later. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you're supposed to do that when you're young. Like, she's like, I was 19. She's like, yeah, like you don't need to go to any parties or anything like that. So she just wanted me to sit in my room all day. Really? But anyway, you guys, so the story, so I was dating this one guy, and well, two guys on it. I'll tell you guys the two stories. So the first story was the one guy, he came and he even told me, you guys, he was like, what's wrong with your aunt? And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, she was not friendly. She seems like she don't want me here. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, and I had to tell him like, oh, she's just tripping or whatever. Like, don't worry, So, that's one thing. Again, they don't want you to be happy. They don't want you to have relationships. They want you to be solely focused on them and pleasing them and getting approval from them and stuff like that. And they try to sabotage any type of friendships or relationships that you have. And then also, I remember she was really, really controlling. Like this other guy that I was seeing at the time, we literally wasn't doing anything, you guys. Like, I'm like not gonna be disrespecting anybody. And we was like watching TV or whatever, just chilling. And it wasn't really even that late, you guys. I think it was like 11 or 12. And we were just like watching TV. Or I don't know, was we watching a movie? We was either watching a movie or some TV show or whatever. And then out of nowhere, this was like so embarrassing, but she like comes out and she's like, Joy, it's getting late. Your company needs to leave. And I'm like, okay, like so embarrassing. It's just like, how do you know he was ready? And it wasn't like it was 2 or 3 in the morning. It's only like 11, you know? So I don't know. It was just like, she was really, really strict. And like I said, when it came to me having friendships and relationships, she was just not on board at all. And even the one friend that I did have, which I'm actually still cool with her today, you guys know what she would say to me? She'd be like, so-and-so has their bachelor's degree. Where's your bachelor's degree at, Joy? And I'm like, well, how do you know like what her subject is in school and what mine's is? Like, you didn't even ask me. You're just automatically comparing me to a friend, you know, and you don't even really know nothing about her like that, really. You know, so it was just that type of thing where it's just, she was just so like manipulative and jealous and deceptive, like, but people on the outside, you guys, would not even know that she was like that. It was just so, so crazy. But with that being said, I hope that this was a helpful video. And just to let you know that narcissists don't have any empathy, no sympathy for you. So don't expect it. And they won't apologize. So don't expect that either. And you might have to apologize to yourself. You might have to give yourself reconciliation and, you know, just make peace with the situation the best way you can. And yeah, and just understand you can't change this person. This person cannot be changed, whether it's a family, a friend, a relationship partner, a coworker, or a boss. Like, we can't change these people. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Give this a like if you enjoyed it. Let me know what was you guys' biggest takeaway. And yeah, that's basically the video. Make sure that you guys are following me on Facebook and Instagram at Live Narc Free. And so yeah, until next time, thank y'all for the like. Appreciate it. And so yeah, you guys have a good night, and I will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye, guys.